Now, I'm not a gambling man, but I would guess that as any sensible business owner, let's imagine if on Monday evenings, half of your entire fulfillment, you were only making 10% profit. But overall, the company was making good money. I'm guessing that you wouldn't trade that 10% profit to now be 30 or 40% profit for the cost of your entire business's profit. Would you? Probably not. But that is what I'm potentially seeing with a new system that is coming into place at my local paddle club. You need to understand your entire customer journey. Where do they come from? New people that come and join your product or your service, how do they find out about you? How much does that process cost you from them not knowing who you are to them now paying you? Because if you do not know that, you'll end up making silly mistakes like I think this company is about to do. So Monday evenings, they have a social. It's not the cheapest event anyway. It was already budgeted to include pizza at the end of the event. Now, I don't really care for the pizza. But what it did do was force a social interaction with 16 people at the end of the session who then talked, traded numbers, planned extra games, playing at this place. Now, they've cut costs, and so they've removed that, kept it the same price, and what happened the first week? Everyone left immediately. If I'm right, and in the last 4 or 5 weeks I've been going there now, I've seen, on average, of 16 people, 10 of them are brand new. I reckon a significant proportion of their entire customer base comes through those social evenings. And cutting it out of your marketing budget, essentially, where you're profitable, bringing on new customers, is ludicrous. Now, I'm all for running tests. I'm all for understanding the process of your business, having a hypothesis, and then testing something to see the impact of it. If they came at this from a perspective of, I reckon we can make 50% profit on this section when instead of 10, and it's not going to change our customer acquisition. Okay, let's build a test to actually test that. But the theory behind it doesn't make any sense, considering how much I see. It's an hour and a half social, and then usually an extra half an hour of people sitting around chatting, getting to know each other, sharing details and planning games. And that immediately vanished. Now, you could replace it with something far cheaper than $200 worth of pizza. It could be $10 worth of brownie bites or cookies or something insignificant, but a reason for people to come and gather at the table and talk for 10-15 minutes. Because I noticed is once they were doing that, once the pizza was finished, they then stayed even longer. So without this information, you'll end up making rash decisions and maybe not tests at all. But this would be a much better test to replace it with something which is essentially giving you the same profit margin that you're wanting without decreasing the marketing impact that that event has on your entire sales volume. You really could be shooting yourself in the foot there for a really short-sighted win. Now, to counter my argument, I know there are too many companies, especially early small startups, we're talking less than $1 million a year-ish, who are too afraid to make changes like this because it's going to, of the view of their customers. I don't agree with that. Right, at the end of the day, you own the business, you make the choice, but make a smart one that's going to make the business more money, make you more profitable, allow you to create better systems and better products so that you have a better service to offer. Because at the end of the day, your community, the people you build, the people you help do what they do, they're the ones that pay you. And so having something so good, people feel dumb if they don't turn up, pretty major. And you don't have to always build these things the same way. So there are different ways. How many different ways to skin a cat is the saying, but you can still achieve the same outcome in a much more economical sense. But removing it entirely, I believe, is short-sighted. So if you're doing something like this, My guess would be don't. Or at least have a new strategy, have an actual test. I'm going to run this test for this period of time, and I will measure how many new customers compared to baseline we normally have and see the impact of that one change. Because if you don't do that, you don't know the effect that this is going to have on your long-term business outlook. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you realize your company's not profitable anymore. Been there, done that. I promise you, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's a death spiral. Cut costs, less offer, fewer people buy, you're now making less profit, you have to cut costs more, no one comes in, 0 customers, dead. That's the downward spiral that you do not want. And you can avoid this by understanding your customer journey, 1, and running smart tests, 2. Don't just go off vibes and gut feelings. Hopefully this helps. Peace.